Hey everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get started with trivia here, Bible trivia tonight. We may or may not see Chip Liner. I know that he's in a small group study tonight, and so he might be in there with his earbuds on listening to the trivia, I don't know, and be answering some questions here. But look forward to seeing everybody who can show up tonight. I'm going to go ahead and hit my share button right now and share this out. I think I have this sharing with everyone. We'll find out in a minute if we have some more people join. Let's see here. Anybody out there? Hopefully I shared this thing publicly. Sometimes I forget to undo my settings. And let's see here. Where am I? Anybody out there? Hello? See here, can I share this? I want to make sure it's going public. Share. I'm going to share to my page here. I'm going to share it on the GraceWorks Church page. On your page, GraceWorks Church, and share now. And I think it's posting. Hey, Jeannie. Good to see you. Going to do a little trivia tonight. Characters in the Old Testament is what the topic is going to be. Kind of some, maybe kind of scoundrels in the Old Testament, or may have a reputation as scoundrels, or maybe they're just known kind of for not their good side so much. So anyway, we're just going to go through the Old Testament, do a little trivia, see what you guys know from the Old Testament about some different characters. And if you're wondering what we have here to eat tonight, we have, and by the way, you're not dyslexic. I'm using a front camera so I can see while I'm doing this. That's why some of the words back there, I'll read backwards, or the words on my shirt or whatever, and this will read backwards. This is what we're going to be eating tonight during trivia, during Bible trivia, and we'll be either drinking this or we will be drinking this, and I expect a sponsorship from all the above, if you would. Sponsored by Cheetos, M&M's. This is what's going on tonight. Here's, just in case I run out, I got a couple of extra, so we're good. All right, so Bible trivia tonight. Hey guys, hit the share button on, if you would, share this out on your page. And that way other people can chime in on the trivia. If you're bored and you want to answer some questions tonight. We're doing some Old Testament characters, Bible trivia. And a lot of them are people who are not spoken very well of. Hey, Whitney. Not spoken very well of in the Old Testament, but we're going to get started here in just a second. And the first one's always an easy question. It's kind of a warm-up question, and it seems like a lot of times I start out in Genesis when I do these types of things, and this one's going to start out in Genesis, so you can start already guessing who I'm going to be talking about here. Not such a great character in the Bible, not spoken very well of, or thought well of amongst us. So if you get a chance, once again, share this out there, and got to make sure that I am sharing this out to everybody here. I've got it shared on the church Facebook page. Let's see here. There we go. Just taking a look here, seeing who we have joining us. All right. Well, we're going to get started here with some trivia questions. Can anybody comment? I'm wondering if I hit the right button here, like if I'm making sure that I'm sharing this public with everybody. If not, you're just going to have to answer at home on your own. I don't know if you're having a problem doing any kind of commenting or anything like that. Mine's not giving me a comment option. It makes me wonder if I shared this wrong. Oh, there it goes. Okay, my comment option came up. So there we go. Well, hey, let's go ahead and get started. It's 6:32 p.m. Maybe we'll have some other people join in here in a minute. And I'm going to send a comment out here just to say, oh, there I am talking. So and you can hear the delay. There we go. All right, so let's get started. Anybody got an answer for this question? Who was the one that tempted Eve to eat the forbidden fruit? Who was the one who tempted Eve to eat the forbidden fruit? Question number one, we're talking about some scoundrels in the Bible, some characters who are not very well spoken of. Does anybody know who that was that tempted Eve to eat the forbidden fruit? That's in Genesis. Anybody with an answer? I'm hoping that I've shared this out properly tonight, because I may have hit a wrong button tonight. I may not have shared the whole thing public. So, hey Patty. The first question is, who was the one that tempted Eve to eat the forbidden fruit? We're doing Old Testament Bible characters. Anybody know who that was? The one that tempted Eve to eat the forbidden fruit? Anybody with an answer? And I may have to move on to the next question because we don't have as many people watching right now. So, going once, going twice. The serpent. Pat says the serpent, and you are correct. Thank you so much, Pat. The serpent, or Satan, was the one who tempted Eve to eat the forbidden fruit. Question number two, we're doing some scoundrels in the Old Testament, or people who are probably not super well thought of, or have their bad deeds have been recorded in the Old Testament. Question number two, who committed the first recorded murder in the Bible? Does anybody know who it was? This was in Genesis, who committed the first recorded murder in the Bible, and I believe it was the first murder in the Bible. Does anybody know who that might be? Question number two, we're kind of doing scoundrels in the Bible, people who are probably not so well thought of. Yes, Marianne, Cain, you are correct. He murdered his brother Abel, and so that was the first recorded murder in the Bible. And so moving on to question number three, Old Testament characters, some scoundrels in the Bible here. Question number three, who took advantage of his father's failing eyesight in his old age and deceived his father into giving him an undeserved birthright blessing? Who took advantage of his father's failing eyesight in old age? His father's eyesight was failing in his old age, and he deceived his father into giving him an undeserved birthright blessing. Marianne says Jacob, and Marianne, you are correct. Jacob was the person who did that. He took his brother Esau blessing from him when he deceived his father. So, right on. Hey, you guys share this. If you hit that share button, it'll help get out there, and some other people can watch it later. We're not having a lot of people watching live right now, and I know people are going to be watching later. So, especially if you share this, we'll have more people watching it. Question number four, characters in the Old Testament, some of the scoundrels out there in the Old Testament, Actually, I'm looking for a group of guys. I don't need a name here. Who or what group of guys sold Joseph into slavery, motivated mostly by jealousy? Now, this was in Genesis. What group of guys? You don't have to tell me any names. You can do a name if you want to, because it's a group of guys. Who or what group of guys sold Joseph into slavery, motivated mostly by jealousy? And just a hint, that Joseph, Louise Young says his brothers, and Joseph had a coat of many colors. And I have a feeling some other people are probably going to get this one right, but I will go ahead and tell you, and other people may have answered. Sometimes I get these out of order. Louise says his brothers. You are correct, Louise. His brothers sold him into slavery. And it was motivated mostly by jealousy. So that was question number four. Question number 5. We're moving into Exodus now in the Bible. Who had the Hebrew babies thrown into the Nile River in the book of Exodus? Who had the Hebrew babies thrown into the Nile River in the book of Exodus? That is question number 5. And if you remember, there was one very popular baby who was rescued by someone. I can't say who because it'll give away part of the answer. Who had the Hebrew babies thrown into the Nile River in the book of Exodus? Does anybody know that answer? I'll give you a hint. It was in Egypt. Yes, Louise says Pharaoh. You are correct, Louise. It was Pharaoh. The Hebrews were the Hebrew population, the Jewish population, was, in their opinion, getting out of control. So they were trying to do some population control. And well, question number 6. Yes, Tasha, and yes. Yes, Tasha. Sorry, I'm trying to read there. So, question number 6. Am I on to question number 6? Yes, question number 6. Who would not let the... Here, I'm going to raise this, stand up a little bit. Question number 6. Who would not let the people of Israel leave Egypt when Moses said that God commanded him to deliver the message, "Let my people go"? Who was it that would not let the people of Israel leave Egypt when Moses said that God commanded him to deliver a message that said, "Let my people go"? Does anybody know who that was that would not let them leave? Anybody? Know who that was? The wind's kind of blowing a couple of different directions out here. I'm trying to figure out how to put this piece of paper on here. That's the beautiful cross at Grace Works Church behind. You are correct, Marianne, and it was Pharaoh. The last two, if you've listened to the last 2 questions, both of the answers have been Pharaoh. The Egyptian Pharaoh at one time had all the babies, the Hebrew babies, thrown into the Nile River. Yes, Louise. And then that Pharaoh died. Moses was one of those babies who was supposed to be thrown into the Nile River, but he grew up, and later on, he actually grew up in the Pharaoh's palace. And it's an interesting story. But then later on, he came back to rescue the people of Egypt, commanded by God, and God went to the new Pharaoh through Moses and said, "Let my people go." So that was Pharaoh who would not let God's people go. He eventually did whenever God had to get pretty rough on him. So question number 7. Dana, what's up, man? Question number 7. Who was the Israelite that disobeyed God's command after Israel defeated the great city of Jericho? And in his disobedience, God allowed the small city of Ai to defeat the Israelites in a battle. So there was an Israelite who disobeyed God's command after they defeated Jericho. And if you remember what happened, he actually took some stuff and hid it in his tent or his home or whatever it was, some things that he wasn't supposed to take. And what happened is God allowed the small city of Ai to defeat the Israelites in battle. Do you know who that person was that took the stuff that God told them not to take? I think you can find this in Joshua chapter number 8. If you go and you can read up on this story. In Joshua chapter 8, who was that Israelite that disobeyed God's command after Israel defeated the great city of Jericho? And in his disobedience, God allowed the small city of Ai. Marianne says, not a clue. I know this was actually a hard one. Defeat the Israelites in battle. That Ai defeated the Israelites in battle. Well, I'll tell you who it was, okay? And you can go look it up later on. In Joshua chapter 8, it was a guy named Achan. When they defeated the city of Jericho, when they took it down, God had special commands of things that they could keep and things they could not keep. Well, they had a lot of riches and some other things there. And Achan kept some stuff for himself. And when whenever they went off into battle to fight the next city, God let this little tiny town beat Israel in a fight. And then he told Joshua the reason why is because you have sin in the camp. And so Achan had taken some stuff. So anyway, you can go read that story in Joshua chapter number 8. Once again, we're doing Old Testament characters and kind of some guys that don't have they probably did a lot of good things in their life. Some of them, I don't know about Satan. I guess he was, one of the angels at one point. But, at one point, they may have done some good things, but they're most well known about probably their bad deeds that they committed in the Bible. So that's kind of what the topic is. I'm with you, Marianne. Whenever I was looking this up, and yes, you are correct. They stoned his whole family. I mean, it was pretty brutal punishment that they had to go through for breaking God's command back then. So we thank God we live in a very graceful era these days. But question number 8: who was the queen Who was the queen that threatened to kill Elijah? Who was the queen that threatened to kill Elijah? It's a name that I have never heard anybody name their child. This name. Queen, and her husband was Ahab, by the way. Who was the queen that threatened to kill Elijah? A lot of people will use this name whenever they're being rude to somebody. They'll call them Anybody know who that queen was that threatened to kill Elijah? Tasha says Jezebel. Anybody else agree with Tasha? You ever heard anybody say, "You little Jezebel"? I don't know anybody named Jezebel. I mean, I'm sure there is somebody out there named Jezebel, but I just don't know anybody named Jezebel. Well, the correct answer is, who was the queen that threatened to kill Elijah? It was indeed Jezebel. She was Ahab, I think, was the king of Israel at the time, and Jezebel was her father was a king in another country, and I think he kind of broke some laws going out and marrying somebody from a different culture and everything else. But anyway, it was Queen Jezebel. So that was question number 8. Question number 9, we're doing Old Testament characters in the Bible. Characters have not really good reputation sometimes. Once again, I'm sure all these guys probably had some redeeming qualities. Yes, Louise. Yes, Reba. Probably had some redeeming qualities at one point, but the stories they're known for are mostly negative. Who was the giant Philistine soldier that was killed by David? Who was the giant Philistine soldier that was killed by David? Or a Philistine, I don't know how you say it. I've heard it, and I maybe it's said different than both of those ways, but Philistine, but a Philistine soldier. Who was the giant Philistine or a Philistine soldier killed by David? If you remember, Louise says Goliath. Anybody else? Anybody else? Yes, Louise, Marianne. I may have missed somebody there. Tanya says Goliath. Hello, Tanya, all the way from Florida. You guys having a tropical depression down there? Tasha says Goliath. Reba says Goliath. Steve Heisey says Goliath. Man, you guys are on it. Hey guys, while you're at it, will you hit the share button? If you'll hit the share button, that'll get this out there and some other people can watch this later on. We had a little bit of a slow start tonight. I know Chip Liner's in a small group study right now, so he's probably not able to look at his phone sheet right now and answer some questions. But all you guys are correct. If you said Goliath, he was the Philistine giant, Philistine soldier giant that was killed by David. So, once again, please hit that share button. We're doing characters in the Bible, some characters who probably had some redeeming qualities, I'm sure, but we know them because of their bad deeds, and, that's kind of unfortunate, because I'm sure they had a good side to them, some of them. So, let's see here. Question number 10. This is a long question. You guys ready for this? Who was the person that impregnated another man's wife? And after he found out, he tried to get her husband drunk so that her husband would have sex with her and think that he impregnated her. But when that plan did not work, he then put him on the front lines in battle with the intent to have him killed. And he indeed was killed. So who was that person that impregnated another man's wife? And then Louise says David. Wow, you guys are on it, Louise. Yeah, Marianne, Paula, yes. Peggy, yes, you are correct. David, yes. And by the way, that was my 10th question, but I do have a bonus question. I encourage all of you. I kind of had a point in doing this. Tanya says David. Yep, you are correct. The one reason I thought that it's interesting, a lot of times you see all these people's names, like the answer that Tasha says, David, Tasha. The first answer to the whole trivia tonight was Satan. Then you talk about Cain, who committed the first murder. Then you talk about Jacob. Yes, Reba. You talk about Jacob, who Jacob, deceived his father in his old age, and then you talk about the brothers of Joseph who threw him in a hole and then sold him into slavery, and then you talk about the Pharaoh who threw all the babies in the Nile River, and then the other Pharaoh who wouldn't let the people of Egypt go, and then Achan who stole and broke God's command, and Jezebel, and you hear about Goliath, and then you hear about, and we're talking about David defeated Goliath and all these types of things. And then, David, we think of David as this wonderful guy, a man after God's own heart. And then you get to question number 10 here. Hey, Ashley, hope you're doing well. Hey, Suzanne. But you get to question number 10 here, and you hear about David. There is, Tanya just asked, didn't Bathsheba write Proverbs 31? There is some debate that she is the one that wrote some of Proverbs 31. So you might want to research that a little bit. So, but yes, we think that it might have been her, or it might have been a combination of things. But one thing about when I was doing this trivia, I was coming to the point to find out that, we especially when we watch politics and we watch things in news, we have a tendency to find people who've done something wrong in their past, and that's all we focus on, the things that they've done bad in their past, and that's how we define them. And most of these people have probably very redeeming, very, very good things they've done in their life, but we like to focus on their one failure, or maybe more than one failure. But, they are God's creation. They are God's children if they choose to accept Him as their father. And so when you think about the story of David and the wonderful things that he did, and as Tanya said, God redeems. It's true. God will redeem. And David did some fantastic things. He made some very poor choices, but God redeemed him. And that's what I encourage you to go read 2 Samuel chapter 12, if you can tonight, sometime or whenever you see this trivia. 2 Samuel chapter 12, because David is confronted by the prophet of the day about his actions that he did. And he goes and he repents. And that doesn't mean everything went away, but he repented and God forgave him. And so there we can be redeemed no matter what we've done. And all these guys that we talk about, Achan and Pharaoh and Joseph's brothers and Jacob and Cain and all these types of things, these things, we like to focus on the bad in them, but God sees the good in us, and He will forgive us for some of the things that we've done. But anyway, that's kind of where I was going with this, which takes me to my bonus question. The bonus question comes from the New Testament. So if you will, after this is over, by the way, go read 2 Samuel chapter 12. It's a very interesting read. It's after David was called out on his sin. But the bonus question goes to the New Testament. Who was the man in the New Testament that was known for killing Christians? He was present and held the robes of the men who stoned the Christian Stephen to death. Who was that man in the New Testament who was known for killing Christians? He was present and held the robes of the men who stoned the Christian Stephen to death. Does anybody know who that was? Marianne Holland says Saul, and you answered it perfectly, Marianne, because Saul, Paul, that's it. And Paul is helping me get to my next point. Saul, Paul, yes, it was Saul. Yep. Yes, Saul. Yes, and everybody who's answering Saul or Paul, you are correct. Saul had a moment with where he literally came face to face with God and had a moment of right in the face, and God changed his life head on. Saul was known for killing Christians, and this is another story of redemption. This is a guy who murdered Christians, and yet he is the same guy that he had a real face-to-face with God, and he ended up writing a lot of what we study in what we call the Christian Testament or the New Testament. A lot of the things that we read because he had a life-changing moment when he met God. So you are correct if you said he was the one who was known for killing Christians, and then he had a redeeming moment where God redeemed him, and then he ended up writing most of what we call the New Testament, or a lot of the New Testament or the Christian Testament. So you are correct. By the way, if you're joining late, I'm eating real healthy tonight. These are the drinks I'm drinking, sponsored by Mountain Dew, Coca-Cola, and of course, got to have some Cheetos to go with that, and that's good. And then a little dessert, because you don't want to eat, since I'm eating so healthy, I figured I'd have some of this, and there's a little cup to dip it in. But anyway, so I digress. So anyway, it's good to see all of you guys tonight. Thank you all for joining for trivia tonight. Please hit the share button on this, and kind of the whole idea of this whole thing is And one thing I would like to get at on this is, right now we have every 4 years, especially, we have the presidential campaign and everything else, and all we do is focus on the negatives of all these guys out there that are running for office and have done this or they've done that, or they've done this one thing or whatever. We have a tendency to focus on the negative. And, right now there's 2 main presidential candidates, and the media just bashes them to death on their negative traits. But these guys have a lot of positive qualities. Sometimes we need to, focus on that. They've done a lot of good things. And I know that's hard for you to hear, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. But these guys have done a lot of good things in their life. That made some poor choices, just like we all have. But you know what? There's redemption through Jesus Christ. So anyway, and we've learned that tonight through our trivia. So anyway, I'm going to have a word of prayer here, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And by the way, the weather in Chattanooga is fantastic, and it's supposed to get better and better. Maybe some rain, but the cooler air is really nice. So let's have a word of prayer. Hit that share button. God, I thank you that we can come here tonight and that we can just go through your word and read some of this scripture by going through trivia and just trying to recall things that maybe we learned when we were younger, or maybe we've learned some things even recently. But God, I thank you that we can do this and enjoy it and help jog our memories and just help us to dive into your word. And God, I thank you for what you've given us in your word. And God, I thank you for redemption. I thank you for forgiveness. I thank you for your grace. And right now, I just speak on behalf of everybody. It's my privilege right now to speak on behalf of every person who may be listening or may be listening later, if someone shared this and they're watching later on. God, when I tell you, we love you and we thank you for the gift of salvation that we have through Jesus Christ. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, guys, thanks for joining me, and I will see you, if I don't see you sooner, I'll see you on Sunday, but we do have a midweek, Grace Works Church, we have a midweek moment with the pastor, and I'm not sure who's doing that, but Mom just came on. Hey, Mom, and you're going to have to watch this and rewind because I'm about to be done here, so y'all have a good night, and Mom, tell Dad I said hi. Love y'all. All right, guys, I'll see ya. Bye.